All right, just I'm losing my screen. I have a couple of screens here, so it's conflicting a little bit. Apologies.
Don't worry.
Go. Let me know if you see my screen.
Not yet, Richard.
How about now, George?
No? Just you.
Oh, that should work.
Yes, now it works. Yes.
Hey, we got it to work. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Really excited about today's session. We've taken off a couple of months in the summer. We're extremely busy, actually. We didn't take off. Catching up on some major releases and some cool things. I want to welcome Alvaro, Rojas, Blaine, Bob, Carolina, Karkash, Dave, Gary, Greg, Jimmy, John, Dyer, Cassandra, Larry, Lord Zoom, Martin, Marvin, Molly, Nick, Rick Draka. We have Ryan from our team as well with us. Hello, Ryan. Sabrina, Sheila, Stanislav, Starby, Tali Hasanov. Hello, Tali, and Yolanda. Welcome, everybody, to our session for today. We're going to be talking about storytelling and marketing, how to build emotional connections with your audience. We will be sharing the content of this presentation after the meeting, maybe tomorrow or the day after, including the slides, the recording, any notes that we have shared. Also, these are usually broadcasted on Facebook. So if you're joining us on Facebook, we will moderate the questions there. Just ask whatever you have in mind or whatever you would like to add. It does not need to be a question. I'd like to leave these as an open conversation. So if you want to participate, add points, I would really love for you to do that, especially that every one of us brings forth their own expertise in a certain field and their own story. Okay. Now, before I dive into the content for today, I just want to give you a brief on our community. We are over 8 years in the making. So pretty much the journey of VBOT started. A year later, I started the community. And since then, we've been harvesting it by doing events just like these on a monthly basis, at least 10 times a year. And we share the latest content related to marketing, sales, marketing strategies, marketing automation, email, pretty much everything marketing. Especially now with the advent of AI and things are changing rapidly, we are making sure to bring forth to you a lot of these through our technology and hopefully with our future content as well. If you are a first timer, I would love to invite you to our Facebook group where we share a lot of the latest updates about VBOT, latest releases, access to beta features. It's a really vibrant community of marketers. George will drop in the link in the chat, and I will hope to see you on the Facebook side of things. Also on TikTok, if you are active, please follow us to support us. We'll follow back. And we now support posting to TikTok on VBOT, which is exciting. So all form of short videos on TikTok, YouTube Reels, Shorts, I'm sorry, Facebook and Instagram Reels are supported. So you can post them directly from VBOT. TikTok probably coming out in the next few days. And if you are active on groups, you can now post to your groups through VBOT. So exciting. You can schedule your content ahead of time. You can schedule and post on multiple channels with one click. Anyways, please follow us on TikTok, and I'll welcome you to our group as well. All right, we got 33 people on the call so far. Welcome, everybody. And if I missed you on the welcome, I have, I think, Nick and Nigel. We got Sheila, Tony, Yolanda just joined as well. Welcome, everybody. Elaine, and whoever's on Facebook right now. As usual, we'll do just a general intro. I have to introduce Vivout and what we do. If you're a first timer, so that takes about 2-3 minutes. And then I'll dive into the content of this presentation, which I usually keep as an open dialogue. Please, please, please put your feedback in the chat, your questions in the chat. Let's keep the conversation going. I will also have a quick poll and a few questions that I'm gonna send out to you guys in a second. If you answer, I will be very grateful. It's around the topic of today, just to prepare for what's to come. And finally, I'll leave the floor open for any open-ended questions. All right, so I'm gonna push the poll right now, and I'm gonna introduce her to Vivout at the same time. Oops. I'm sorry, guys, just keeps on pausing. All right, the video played without any notice, but this is what Vivout does in a nutshell, guys. Okay, we are a marketing stack for digital agencies and marketing teams to power your lead generation and nurture campaigns. So we can replace your HubSpot Marketing Cloud, your MailChimp, and many of your marketing tools. We have over 12 tools combined. We focus on the simple interface. We come at a great price, amazing support. We have built-in AI and predictive capabilities. Also very excited that we are now the first, or one of the first plugins in the ChatGPT plugin store. And the way we work with ChatGPT is you can parse commands directly to us and we will execute them for you. For example, create an email campaign about a specific topic and schedule it for next week to go out to my clients list. Press a button and it goes to Vivout. Obviously, you can refine the prompt. You can say schedule 5 social media posts about topic XYZ, and I want you to schedule it on my Vivout Facebook page, my Vivout Twitter, my Vivout Instagram page, and so on. And we'll literally take that content and schedule it for you on your social media calendar. It's an amazing plugin. This is only 2 prompts out of, I think, 15 that we have. I've seen people also use it as, to say, add contact XYZ to list blah, blah, as a command prompt. It's a really powerful integration. We're getting a lot of people who are actually finding out about us through here. We were the first to be launched in the AI email marketing. And we just got somebody today who released their plugins, which I don't know who they are. Again, the tools that we support are landing pages and forms with pop-ups. So that's top of the funnel. Then we do the lead tracking and the automation. You can all program all of these through Vivout. And eventually you can do the retention by maintaining your brand through social, retargeting, and much more. So we have 12 tools combined. If you haven't tried Vivout, or if you're considering replacement to your existing marketing stack, I would love to talk to you. George will put in the chat a link to our calendar. You can go ahead and book one of our success teams, and we will see if we're a good fit for you. All right. Now, many of you have already answered the polls, so thank you. The first question was, how do you define storytelling in marketing? The majority of you said building narrative that resonates emotionally with the audience. That was the winning question. The second one was, why do you believe brands use storytelling in their marketing strategy? 94% answered to forge emotional connections with customers. Really interesting. To create memorable marketing campaigns. I love this one. To stand out from competitors and to justify higher pricing. All right, now the killer question. Do you have a brand story for your business? The majority of you said no. The other majority said yes, but not satisfied, and yes, and happy with it. So I'm really curious about the 4 of you who are happy with their brand narrative. If they'll be willing to share with us their brand story real quick, once we give them the open mic. Just leave in the chat your name, and we can, or raise your hand, and I'll give you probably about 30 seconds to tell your brand story. Okay, but it needs to be very concise, 30 seconds, so we don't take up much of the content time. All right, 2 more questions. What elements do you use in your storytelling? Majority of you said client stories and testimonials. I love it. Problems that you solve, the team's value and culture, relatable characters, product features. Product features was the least communicated and utilized element in storytelling. That's really interesting. And by the way, I'm going to be covering a lot of these elements in my presentation. Then we have, how do you communicate your brand story? Many of you says via social media, then via email, second winning channel, website, SMS, events, and others. And finally, do you think brand story can impact your sales? Everybody said yes. So there you go. It's important. All right, I'm going to close the poll, and I really want to thank you for participating. George, I just want to do a quick mic check. Can you hear me okay? Can you see my screen still?
Yes, Richard, everything is great.
All right, sweet. Cool. So I have right now just one person, Lord John, who said they want to tell us the brand story in 30 seconds. John, you have your hand raised. Is that accurate? Anybody else want to raise their hand? All right, I give you the floor. John, are you ready? Here we go. 30 seconds, please. Quick and concise brand story.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may remember something happened rather dramatic called COVID. When COVID struck, I was a leader in Toastmasters International. We had 150 clubs who couldn't meet online because they had no idea how to. So I spent a year showing 150 clubs how to meet online, how to communicate online, how to do everything online, including marketing with tools like VBound. Now COVID is over, I don't have to worry about them anymore. And now I am showing speakers, trainers, and the like how to connect online. And I use VBound, I use Pabbly, and I use WordPress websites. And I get everything from those 3 tools. So thank you to VBound for making it possible.
Love it. Thank you, John. I promise you guys would not pay John to say this. John has been a pillar in our events. Every single event we've done, he's been there since COVID. And John has participated a lot in pretty much all our content and questions. So thank you, John. Anybody else would like to tell their story? Give it 2 seconds. And by the way, John touched on a lot of elements, which I'll cover on these slides, to build that emotional connection. He utilized a few elements, and we'll identify those as we go. So I guess others are shy, which is okay. But let's go ahead and move on unless someone changes their mind. All right, so why storytelling and marketing? Many of you have answered some of these, but obviously narrative, you use the narrative to promote your brand. That's the main reason, or one of the main things that you're promoting when you are telling the story, right? Or the end, the destination, if you may. So storytelling and marketing is the practice of using narrative and compelling stories to engage and connect with your audience so you can promote your brand and your service. The traditional way of doing it is just to display all your products and facts and features. But with storytelling, you're creating that emotional connection with your customers. And you're tapping specifically on their desires, on their values, and on their aspirations. And there are ways to do that, which we'll uncover during this presentation. So again, it goes beyond facts and features to display what your services does. It creates that emotional bond and connection with the customer, and it taps on those three things: desire, value, and aspirations. So why use it? Why use it in your marketing, to be specific? Because you want to transform abstract concept into relatable tales. And many of you understand that a complicated product cannot be sold as it is. Try selling VBA per se and say, we are marketing automation. People will not listen. But when you say exactly like John said, that we had problems communicating with our clients, we didn't have the means to do it, our business was, let's assume, fading, we were going to go out of business, and finally we found a product that's going to help us communicate better. That's a little bit different way of transforming marketing automation as an abstract into a relatable and digestible story with the audience. Also, by leveraging the innate power of storytelling, marketers can forge stronger relationship with customers because you're building rapport. They kind of understand what you're talking. And with the moment someone understands what you're trying to say, they can follow your story and your plot a little bit deeper. And you can touch on those emotions, desires, and aspirations that I covered in the previous slides. Okay. Not to mention, you want to get to the point where there's some sort of loyalty. If you are really genuine in your story and your mission and you're consistent, you can establish brand loyalty by following some of the frameworks that I'll cover as well. Okay. So overall, you provide a holistic brand understanding. You promote genuine brand and customer relationship. And that's really the what elevates your brand loyalty. And of course, encourages more than just buying, because you're creating a bond with your customers. All right. Now, the power of storytelling and marketing is really manifold, and there are many polls taken beyond the one that we did just now. But when asked, what do you consider the three most important elements of effective content? Because many of us invest in content, be it, and I'm not talking now with ChatGPT, most of us maybe are relying on it to generate content, which is not enough anymore. But let's say, how do you, when you write content, how effective could it be? All that money and time and effort spent writing it. The majority of people said storytelling is really key when it comes to writing a piece of content. And that content could be article, it could be a video, it could be an audio, it could be a podcast. It could be just a short video on any of the short video form channels. So right there, it tops originality, custom content, the professional writing, SEO, low cost, and high volume production. Okay, so you can write a small piece of content. You can produce a 1-minute video that tells a story and get better engagement and resonates better than a story told, developed with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ad budgets and content and other long form videos. Okay. So it enhances audience engagement and encourages active audience participation as well. Sometimes if your story is really strong and it resonates, people can relate, they can participate in your questions, they could participate in your mission, and they feel more compelled to leave feedback in your group, be it Facebook, in your forums, and also in your events. It stimulates emotional response, and that's really important. I'm gonna tap on this a lot because storytelling is really, it's all about emotions. A boring story will never resonate. And figuring out the emotions of your persona that you're trying to resonate with is really important. And also it sets your brand apart in a crowded market. Okay, many brands could be bland, and we all fall into this kind of curve, or we have a story, we're passionate about it, then we get all caught up in our building our service and the business and the boring side of it. So we kind of plateau in our storytelling, and then we can go back up. So we all fall into this kind of being bland, more vanilla kind of storytelling. how do we differentiate is really where we want to focus on. All right, so far, I want to make sure, George, you don't have any questions on Facebook. I don't want to ignore any participation there.
No, Richard, it's fine there.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So beyond the enhanced audience engagement, we have the emotional connection. This is a great chart because storytelling taps into the power of emotions. It enables the brand to establish emotional connections by evoking specific type of emotion, which evidently evokes specific type of action and ultimately has a particular impact on the brand. For instance, if the consumer is happy, they are more likely to share, right? And that increases the brand awareness. If the customer is sad, they usually empathize a little bit more. They connect a little bit more with others who are sharing the same problems. And the impact of this is increased giving. Okay. And giving can be in many forms, right? It could be, giving credit, giving comments, likes, and engagement with your brand. If somebody is surprised or they have fear, they tend to stay in the comfort zone. So this can increase brand loyalty. And I'm not saying to go out and scare your customers, but sometimes in an economy where things are shaky, people tend to stick where they are and stick with the brand they feel confident with, right? So that's important to be in that place. Anger and passion. Be stubborn. That's the action people take when they have that emotion, which ultimately leads to viral content and loyal followers, especially if the brand kind of ease those anger and communicates the passion. Finally, if somebody's been recognized and felt special, and we have a whole section webinar that we did on building an amazing customer experience. When you make your customers feel like they're recognized, feel that they're special, they're not ignored, their feedback's being heard, things being implemented based on the community, it deepens the connection. What they cared about, you listen to. And obviously, this increases the virality of the product as well, ultimately leading to more word of mouth. This is the highest, best, purest, cheapest form of marketing, by the way, to like-minded customers. All right, I really like this chart and what it represents in terms of emotions, action, and impact on the brand. So I've kind of summarized this in these bullet points. Whether you want to tap on the joy, empathy, and nostalgia, some brands, they use that by, going back to the 90s or early 2000s to kind of bring back some through music or art. They could do it through, events and podcasts talking about changes in that era. That doesn't really matter. And ultimately, the emotional connection transforms audiences to brand advocates if done correctly. All right. Also with storytelling, when it comes to the impact on marketing, one thing that we always try to do is to stand out from the competition. Every single business out there has competition. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be planting trees on Mars, for all that I care. There's probably somebody who's competing with you. And you can see the brand. I mean, any brand landscape, there's probably some sort of a grid that puts you on the grid, and you can see how many of you there are, especially in marketing. We have thousands of competitors. But you can see how these brands, they focus on many things. And I know this only is the logo, what you're looking at. But a lot of times there's a story behind the logo, and I'm going to get to that in one of the slides. Okay. So you craft a unique narrative to your brand, and you can showcase your value, your purpose, and your identity in a compelling way. Compelling way could be through multiple ways. Some of you said they do it through their customers. Some of you are using relatable characters. McDonald's does this very well. And the differentiation helps create a memorable impression to increase brand recall. So people can remember you. You want to be remembered, okay? And obviously, you want to leave impression, a good impression, when people interact with your brand to solve a problem. That's why sometimes I sign up to a product. On the out front, it looks really nice and promising, and it solves problems. The moment I start using it, I realize customer support is bad. The product is not what it promised to do. And the culture is not quite there. It just looks good on the marketing, but not quite on the back end service deliverables. All right. Also, with storytelling, the impact of marketing is increased brand loyalty. And I really appreciate many of you who have attended previous webinars, who keep attending our monthly partner and client meetings where we tell you what we're launching on VBOT, and we've been doing it consistently. This is really important. People trust us because we've delivered over the last 10 years an improved version of the product, to listen to their feedback. So there is this kind of appreciation and attention. They're being heard, they're being appreciated, listened to, and this is the basis of a lot of relationships. It also drives repeat purchases. People are more likely to give you their money if they trust you versus never paid you money before and they're transacting for the first time. So first time transaction is usually the hardest. Repeat is easier if you retain those affinity, attachment, and trust. Also, from a brand loyalty, it amplifies positive word of mouth. It stimulates brand advocacy, where people are actually telling others comfortably, you can trust this product, go ahead and use it, right? And these are the three pillars from the emotional loyalty perspective to get to your brand loyalty level. All right. I'd also have lasting impact and memorability. I touched on this before, but 89% of consumers feel they have no personal connection to the brands they buy. And many of us, the majority of us, are paying for at least 20 plus different products online across their landscape of technology. I'm not talking about just marketing. Marketing alone, for a lot of marketers, they're probably using 12 plus products. Unless you use VBOT or some similar stack, then you can cut that in half and even less. But you have your marketing stack, your sales stack, you have your support stack, then you have your personal. Your personal could be Spotify, it could be Audible, it could be, you have Amazon, so 20 plus, right? But 89% of consumers feel that they don't have personal connection with the brands they buy. However, studies have shown that emotionally engaged customers are 3 times more likely to recommend, 3 times more likely to purchase, they're less sensitive to price increases, and less likely to shop around for other solutions, right? If you have that emotional connection. Now, satisfaction alone with your product does not mean that that's enough, right? There's a little bit more than that. You need satisfaction, you need engagement, you need storytelling, you need that kind of relations, relation to the brand itself. Okay. So stories resonate and linger in memory, which we all know. I mean, many of you probably remember stories from their childhood that really made an impact on them. Brands craft unforgettable experiences. If you have a story that's really unforgettable, probably the experience, or hopefully you can extend that to the brand experience, using the product, experiencing your service. And it's also consistent. If you always have a story and it's been the same and it's evolving, and I'm going to walk you through the framework that Pixar uses for storytelling, that reinforces brand consistency. It elevates brand recall during purchase moments and solidifies top of mind position. Again, being top of mind because you have an amazing story that sticks. All right, so far so good. Anyone would like to add to these in terms of why storytelling and marketing and how it impacts it? George, anything on your Facebook side of things?
No, not yet, Richard. These guys, if you'd like to share anything, can raise your hands and we will unmute.
Okay, or you can just drop us in the chat.
Yeah.
Question. All right, so what are the elements for effective marketing stories? So I'm going to share with you here some examples. And you shared also in the questionnaire the results of that. So compelling characters. So brands use compelling characters. You have McDonald's in this case, right? And they featureable, relatable, engaging, sometimes fun. On the right side, this is Geico. Many of you know it if you're in the state. It's an insurance company. And they used a caveman-like character as a relatable figure in their ads and banners and stuff like that. Obviously, Nike is always the top when it comes to branding. They use top athletes like Serena Williams, and how hard she worked in order for her to get where she is, and how Nike was sponsoring her, as well as Michael Jordan and many others. So McDonald's uses the character. Some use more with distinct personalities and depth. Others use things like motivation and align with their audience desire. Things that motivate them. You can have a motivational speaker as one of your characters. Some people use not Robin Williams, like Matt Damon. If you are using ClickFunnels, you probably know what I'm talking about, using some of these figures. Drive the narrative forward meaningfully and bridge the gap between brand and audience. Now, that's compelling character building. I want to extend that a little bit into engaging conflict. And this is kind of an important concept because there are 6 types of story conflicts that exist out there. You have person versus person, right? In the storytelling process, you can use that. Coca-Cola used this when they talked about the Grinch. They had an ad a while back about Grinch versus Santa in their Christmas commercial. So that's person versus person. It's friction between friends and lovers, or protagonist and antagonist. Then you have person versus nature. In this case, on the right side, you have the Geico commercial. And here, the conflict is between this caveman who is accustomed to the caveman habits, trying to adapt with the world and how the world is viewing him, right? So that's the entire nature of the world is kind of against that person, and he's trying to adapt. Now, obviously, there are other ways to do person versus nature, but in this case, it's just human caveman versus the modern man, modern life. Then you have person versus self. Nike does this very well with their, just do it, you go out there, get it done kind of mentality. And that's a way to tell a story. Then you have person versus society. This is by Dove, where they are just kind of trying to touch on this, free spirit, woman, beauty. It doesn't matter what shape and form and color. So that's kind of their message, and their storytelling is the brand is for everybody, regardless who they are in this ever-changing, accepting world, if you want to call it. Then you have person versus supernatural. I mean, if you're talking about storytelling, there's nothing better than Harry Potter, which is a product on its own. And they have a massive industry, of course. And the whole storytelling is built around it. Their characters, the plot of the story, the accessories you can buy from bookstores and places is just positioned to be person versus supernatural. And there are many, I don't know how many that uses this, but it is a way to depict conflict. And finally, person versus technology. I mean, the best way this was depicted is in the 1984 Mac commercial, where it just, this woman was breaking kind of the chains from the old technology ways into the new, and how Mac kind of gained a lot of market share just by using that type of story conflict. So conflict drives tension and engagement, which is why it's quite important. It presents the challenges and the obstacles, and you can use any of these story conflict to depict that. It's relevant and relatable to the audience because everybody is familiar with any form of these conflicts. Since we're born, we start to experience them one by one, right? It emphasizes brand as a solution, and it showcases the product, service, benefits through resolution. All right, this is a really Nice slide, actually. Any questions on this? Anything you'd like to add? Any new type of conflict I didn't mention? All right. If you guys think the content is good, throw us a thumbs up. I'd like to see the engagement at the mid-level of this presentation. Is this relevant to you? Are you enjoying the content? Really would love to hear it. All right,
Yeah.
thank you, Jimmy, and everyone who is responding. All right, so let's continue. Other elements are also of creating a powerful storytelling is the story blueprint. So an effective marketing story follows a well-defined plot that obviously has a beginning, middle, and end. We all know this. The plot should unfold in a logical and compelling manner, right? You don't want to be just all over the place. The plot is just going up and down, guiding the audience through the journey of the character and interactions with the brand. So grab the attention quickly when it comes to memorable blueprints. So it has a beginning, middle, and an end, very well defined. That makes it memorable. You grab the attention as fast as possible. So the shorter, the better. And this is why short form videos have succeeded, because we are bombarded every day about all kinds of messages and videos and audio and music. So we are literally way too overwhelmed. And the average person probably consume about 100,000 words a day or being targeted. How much of this they retain is really not varies from person to person. So you need to be very quick, concise, so you can be one of those 100,000 words that they retain. You also want to have linear narrative are key. So, you know, just kind of escalating from the middle, beginning, middle, and end. Visuals are powers, because obviously, you know, videos resonate the best, and music with videos and story are always the best. You have a logical flow where people can follow, unless the plot is, you know, you don't want to create a story that's like has a twist at the end, because that's not what we're trying to do here in our marketing process. You want to be clear. You don't want to confuse people. And guide them through the journey by engaging with some interaction. All right, so that's kind of creating that memorable. Be as memorable as you can by following the plot or the 3 stages of the story. Short and concise. Be very logical with your storytelling. Use visuals and videos and guide them through the journey. All right. So clear messages and values also. You want to communicate these. Every company that has started has been founded by a person, right? There's no company that was started alone, at least yet. So you want to communicate your values. You want to communicate your culture. And many of you might say, well, I don't really know what everybody has a culture. It could be as little as, I want to sell, you know, top of the line conferencing consultancy solution. And one of my core values is, 1, to give attention to everybody on the team and their own struggles. 2, it could be, you know, making sure I work with the client and that they're happy and they're 100% got the service, so they're satisfied. So I offer 100% satisfaction. So you can really model what you're trying to solve, make this part of the culture. And honestly, many of us might hear culture and think Facebook campus, Google perks, and Google buildings and fancy offices in you know, Apple's new construction. That's really not what culture is necessarily. I think culture is more of the feeling of belonging, the problem you're trying to solve, what drives you, and the why, right? The why you do what you do is really important. So every one of us here can literally just say why they do what they do. And I'll give you an example. Vbot started because we were a digital agency and we struggled as a marketing team, adopting so many tools, reaching to the clients the right way, understanding the engagement. And I don't know if you know or you have this issue, but this could cost a lot of money and sometimes it could be wasted. So that was created from that need. So why we did it is because we want to solve this problem of consolidating the best tools you need and to improve your communication with your clients better and hence increase your brand awareness and your sales. So this was one of the core ways or reasons we did it. So what is your brand's purpose? What are you trying to solve? Are you trying to solve the conferencing dilemma with an increasingly demanding conferencing world? If you're Lord John, are you trying to provide a digital marketing services, managed services that's going to help your clients free up their time and focus on other aspects of your business, their business? So it doesn't matter what it is, just convey the brand's core purpose through a certain type of storytelling. Resonates and reinforce your identity. Communicate through impactful messages if you can. And look, we all need to practice this, including us, including the best brands. They have teams that all they do is just this, to communicate the clear values and the impact of the message. Nobody has this perfect, so we keep on iterating and getting better. Aligning with your audience values and belief, that's important as well. And then we have a slide on that. And offer actionable takeaways for audience. What did they take away from the story that you try to tell? All right. So far, we covered why you need storytelling and marketing and the elements that you can use in your storytelling. So how do you craft your brand story? First, you need to identify your brand identity and target audience. That's the beginning of any marketing campaign. And now with, AI, and many of you might have tried it in some capacity, but you can get to information and doing your SWOT analysis a lot faster than before, because there's so much information about your competitors, what they did, who was their target audience as a starting point. That your target audience could branch out from that, but you literally can start from a lot of details. And I'll give you a quick example. Starting a podcast, right? You can literally go to be a Bard or ChatGPT or both. I like to use both because each one of them have a different effective or more strength than the other. And you can say, I'm trying to start a podcast about health. And I'm going to talk about XYZ. Can you recommend a name for it? Can you recommend a domain name for it? Who are competitors in the market who are doing it? Can you give me references and links to their YouTube channels? Can you give me more? So you can get all of these in literally one thread to give you enough about who you're trying to go after and what could your brand identity look like? Because a lot of brands, they copy from each other. 90% of the web is just copy paste with some modification. Anyway, so there is this starting point of identifying your customers and your target audience, obviously through core values, mission, and vision. Understanding brand unique selling proposition. What are you selling? At VBOT, we are selling better ways to communicate with your customers using automation and AI. Okay. Differentiate from your competitors. So if you know who you're targeting, you know who your competitors are, then you know how to differentiate. You got deep dive into the audience demographic, psychographic details and firmographic details if you're B2B. And that will help you as well craft your messaging. Pinpoint the audience main pain and desires and motivation, which leads to aspiration. And you can tailor a story for personal resonance with your audience. And sometimes some brands in their pitch and their sales and their marketing, they might have slightly different messaging based on the target persona they're following. Same message, just crafted differently. Now, in this psychology and colors for brands, there's a whole world on this. And I know this is not a branding session, but honestly, the visuals and colors and logo, it will tell the first story. So when it comes to emotion, strength, passion, and excitement, red is used in marketing, in the food industry to trigger appetite, to convey strong energy and high confidence, and to attract attention and high visibility to the brand. Many of you might shy away from red because it's like an alert, but it actually has some impact. It's powerful. They even did studies on this, where red colored shirts in sports try to have a slightly higher win rate than other color red shirts, sports shirts, right? So that's red. You have yellow for intellect, joy, and energy. You have two brands right there you're familiar with, conveys positivity, high energy, it stimulates creativity, indicates fun and cheerful happiness. Unlike the red, right? Slightly different from like the contrast. Emotions in blue, everybody loves blue for the most part. They say the majority of people or eyes are comfortable with blue as a color. It's the most popular brand. We use it at VBOUT in that aspect. It suggests high loyalty and precision and closely associated with intelligence and trust. Finally, when it comes with emotions, Whole Foods does it really well. The easiest color, and I don't know if you know this, but if it's right or wrong, but dogs see green, right? Green, white, and gray. So it's considered as the easiest color for a human, used to project relaxing images, environment, more friendly, green, energy, that kind of thing. So these are some of the color psychology. The moment you look at the brand logo, you might be able to kind of relate through these immediately, right? Depending on what message you want to portray. Okay. Now you also have your narrative arc, which you can focus on. So usually there's the plot, and it's a sequence of events that make up a story. Usually in the main narrative or storyline of a tale, the plot encompasses all the events that occur from the beginning to the end and the conclusion of the story. And there's a character, there's the hero, the main hero of the whole story that's driving the actions and the decisions, going through the conflicts and the challenges, and ultimately the resolution. Okay, that's the simplest form of plot. Now there's a little bit more to it. In fact, I'm going to go to the second slide because I think it's a little bit more, I like it a little bit better. So this is the Pixar framework. Okay, it's called the hero framework in storytelling. So as simple as this, there's a hero. The hero has a goal. They have challenges. They find a mentor. The mentor and the hero, they go out together to solve the problem. They have some obstacles, they overcome them, and they secure a history, and sometimes they secure a loss, right? So that's really the progression or the hero framework that Pixar uses in the majority of their movies, if not all. And you can use this framework in your storytelling. And now, if I am to ask you, who of you can adapt this and raise their hand to tell us their own brand story? I would love to really hear from one of you at least, or two of you who'd like to try, right? Just go out and try. This is no judgment zone. This is just feedback practice. But go through this process. Try to tell us who is the hero. In this case, I took this snapshot because as an example, the CEO of a large organization who wants their company to the top most stretching sustainable ambitions. They face pressure from all sides. Some consultancy has experience and they came to help them. Together, they try to work together to get those sustainability targets. They must deal with resistance from people and perhaps stakeholders, employees. They put some things in guidelines and they walk through the problems, solve them, and ultimately they secure a win-win for everybody. If any of you would like to try, please raise your hand. If you guys are shy, I totally understand. And George, if you have somebody on Facebook as well, maybe, I don't know if we can bring him in. All right,
Yeah,
I have somebody right now who raised their hand. All right, Rita, thank you for volunteering. I'm gonna give you the mic, and let me see if anybody else in the meantime, we can try. So Rita, are you still interested? I lost Rita for some reason. Maybe it was a mistake. She dropped off. Okay, no worries, Rita. Anybody else? Going once? Gonna practice their storytelling with this framework.
We have Jimmy.
All right, Jimmy, thank you for volunteering. Here we go. Go for it.
Hello, Richard. What's the first question you'd like me to answer or statement? How do we start?
Sure. So you have a business, right? What's your business name?
Boston Digital Productions.
Sweet. So this framework that I'm looking at right now is the hero framework that Pixar's use to develop their stories and their movies. And they start from a hero who has a goal but has challenges. Then they bring somebody to help them. And together they set out on a journey with obstacles, then they solve them together, and then everybody's happy, right? So can you tell us or pitch your business using that framework?
Yes, and this resonates with our company very much. I'm 8 years in with my business partner, and so what we do is many times is we work with Google AdWords, and that's how we pull in our clients, and then we will hear their pain points like you've discussed and aim to solve them, and within a budget that is favorable to them and us, right? Something that works for both. And then the pressure points in our business, I think almost like any, is selling or continuing that process while we're working. And so we produce our videos and we love them, and then we turn around and go, oh, well, we haven't been practicing the sales part as well as we were when we weren't as busy. So that's where we've kind of are on a, maybe like a lot of companies, I think, is when we talk to other groups about it, seems like it's a common one. Would you kind of consider that to be true?
It is, and everybody faces these challenges. So if I am to condense your story here into this framework, so Jimmy's the hero, right? You're the hero, Jimmy, with your
I
partner.
came in as the hero. I don't know if I.
You're still a hero. You're a hero just for trying,
Yep.
for pitching. Thank you.
Copy that.
So Jimmy's the hero. He helps businesses. His goal is to help businesses produce better videos to shine.
And to gain their, they each show up with their, we'd like to gain. Perhaps one will say, we want to expand. We're expanding from regional to national, and we would like to produce some videos to do that, to help.
Nice.
So our CEO would like to go and show them and have them prep and ready for when the opportunity presents itself. And so that's great. We do that.
So we can flip the hero to be your client. So your client are out there trying to expand to national. That's their goal. Their challenge is they don't know how to do it because they don't have the right videos, the right brand. So they partner up with you, who are the hero mentor.
Yes.
And you work with them you set out on a journey to build those videos, during which you face some obstacles like they're lost, they don't have the right material, they can't get the storyboard together. So you pull the entire team and you do brainstorming sessions, you interview customers, you pull all that content together, and you make an awesome video that helps them go national.
That's correct.
That's an awesome story plot. So it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's easy to follow. And that's kind of like your storyline as a brand, I would say.
Well, there you have it. I would agree with that. And the idea that's when you're working with a client, would you find yourselves putting them in that hero position, and you're the ones who are doing just what we're doing?
Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I flipped it in this.
Yeah, copy that. I appreciate it.
And Jimmy, to confirm your point, which is slightly different, is yes, everybody, I mean, most of us who are doing the majority of the work from sales and marketing and operations and accounting, and we tend to face the same problem. Is we go out, we get a client, so that's the sales part, then we come back and we are implementing, not doing sales. So it happens, it works, same for
Yes.
everyone.
Relatively universal. Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering, Jimmy, appreciate it.
Thanks, Richard.
All right, so moving on to the next slide, unless somebody wants to volunteer and practice. All right. All right, here you communicate your brand value proposition. The products of certain services as portrayed or on the polls that I collected earlier. Most of you talked about the products and features the least, but they did talk about it. So I guess is the list of all the products and services a value proposition is built around. Again, creators and pain relieves as a value map. So I guess in essence, articulating a brand unique solution that's built for the audience. In the case of Jimmy, you know, he's not really going to talk about the equipment necessarily that he uses because nobody cares, but he's going to say, my solution is to sit with every single member of your organization, to interview your clients and your stakeholders, so I can ultimately come up with the best storyline for your video, as an example, right? It emphasizes benefits and outcomes delivered by the brand. So in this way, you say, by doing this, you cover all the angles of your business, all the facets of your business, and your customers will understand your story better, and they will ultimately lead to better engagement. Some of the people who actually use our services are speaking about it, and here are some examples. You know, we helped XYZ, and this is how we took them from local to national to international, and some of the challenges they had and before and after kind of thing. So that's communicate the value proposition through this progression as well. Okay, and you can put in some triumphs and some kind of, you know, they won an award after because they got the best production in their industry or whatever it may be. Okay, there's no harm in some you know, bragging about things that you've won with hard work. All right, craft authentic tales. And I guess this, you need to be genuine as much as possible. And genuinity comes just by interviewing people or listening to your customers. No story needs to be perfect. There's no interview that needs to be top notch. As long as you have it, it's great. In fact, people are now, they don't like things that are highly produced. It doesn't seem to flow with what they're accustomed to consuming. Those short form videos made by people like you and I is just not, is what they're accustomed to. So make it genuine versus perfect, right? And that's what we emphasize. It reflects real world scenarios and challenges. Obviously, you're not gonna just craft the problem that doesn't exist to create a solution that nobody wants. You're gonna build trust through authentic narrative. Again, let people speak the problem, because if you're talking about it, it's great. That's the why you do what you do, but then why they chose you is another narrative in your plot. Real life experiences, they matter, and authenticity. And sometimes this in particular is primarily what is the person's profession. So, you know, my name is John. I own a furniture store, and I've been selling since 1923, since my great-great-grandfather started the business. You know, that resonates. It's a real life experience. It's a business, it's an actual person. And that's genuine, authentic tale, strengthen the brand credibility and eventually loyalty. All right, close to getting to, in, you know, last slide or two here. You know, it's all about iteration and refining your brand. This is Microsoft in the early phases. and how the evolution of the logo, you continue evolving, be it, where you are today and how people conceive colors and letters and typography and all of that, or be it the story itself. Some stories were not relevant 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Try to talk about gender equality or talk about Black Lives Matters 15 years ago. I mean, these stories would not resonate, but because things change over time, sometimes you need to adapt your story to the current times. And many of you have this person in their life where they say, we used to go to the movies for $5, or we used to sit down and not have any form of entertainment whatsoever. Okay, but things changed, we need to adapt. So with that being said, our storytelling adapts. If you lived in a time where there was no entertainment, no phone, no TV, maybe a radio, and you told them a story, any story would have been good. But now you're trying to tell somebody who consumed 50 videos the story, it's a little bit more challenging, right? And maybe the challenge is not being more creative with the story, but primarily identifying how to grab their attention with the plot, the beginning, middle, and end, right? So just be transparent in your storytelling. Sometimes brands highlight their challenges. We try to do it when we do our storytelling. We do our storytelling in events like this. We do our storytelling through some of our videos. Regularly review brand story against audience feedback and market trends. Like I said, you adapt with the times to evaluate your story and evolve along with the environment. And ensure consistent alignment with your brand identity and values. You don't want to be, all for green and you're highlighting sustainability, and all of a sudden you're supporting, going back to, I don't want to say coal because that's going to be probably the future. Going back to gasoline and digging for oil, right? All of a sudden your brand changed and it's against your values. So that's that. And how do you deliver your message through marketing automation? That's the last part of the presentation. Anybody wants to ask anything? So Yolanda's asking, when you are telling a story, notice that we should flip the hero to the client. Say on your site, emails, etc., should we speak about ourselves to the client? Thank you, Yolanda. I think maybe I'll try to cover this right now. What you're displaying through, the way you're going to display your story, obviously is through your channels of communication, right? Now, the first channel of communication is always your website. Everybody has a website. Web page could be enough. But then you extend. You can go to social media where it's easier for you to upload a video, where it's easier for you to share an audio, where it's even easier for you to create a podcast and launch it, talk about a specific something. And I've seen brands who do podcasts that do not really necessarily talk about their solution, but more about their core values, right? So if I am talking about automation because I want to make marketers' life easier, maybe one of my core values is just efficiency and hacking systems to work for us, so we're not doing the manual labor all the time. And that could be just a mirror of what my product does without talking about my product. So you can talk about your client is the hero. They came to you as the consultant or the mentor, and you work together through the challenges they had. You faced some more challenges, and then you finally came up with a solution that solved it. So you can communicate this via video, and I highly recommend you practice this internally with your team or even with yourself. Awesome. So how do you deliver these messages beyond your website, right? So storytelling, when it comes to lead gen, could be, leveraging storytelling to captivate and redirect audience interest. And I don't know if it happens to you, but sometimes, and we do this, we take our webinars like this, we cut it down into a few segments, about 15, 20 segments, and we post them out on social media. Some of them barely get engagement, but those that do get engagement get clicks, and they usually go to our demo pages and they request a demo. So the way we're telling story here is we are using, we're talking about, let's say in this case, spam, and how it impacts the world and how it's on the rise and how we solve it by doing better email marketing, which ultimately has its own challenges, but then you can do it by using some techniques, and then evidently it works. That's a storytelling through a short form video. Also, you can embed your links and things beside your story to drive people to take action, right? So that's important. Even if you're putting your videos on TikTok or Instagram, you can put the links inside the video, easy to remember. On the right side, some of them support those hyperlinks. On your website, they're already there, so maybe driving them to the next piece of content or to your demo pages. And offer value proposition like watch the full video. And many podcasters do this very well to drive more views. They break down their videos into short forms, and then they say to watch the full episode, just click on the right side, right? So that could work as well. Awesome. Now, nurturing your customer via marketing automation, because you can deliver your story via messages, right? So beyond the initial story, there could be some extension to it, right? Like if you are offering multiple services, you might have multiple stories to tell. And you can deliver emails and SMS messages with, case studies, video testimonials, invites to events, or even just review request channels, right? Again, you have to figure out your own ways of delivering it, but your brand story does not stop when people watch and consume your initial story. So in the case of Vibout, they might come, they might watch some of our stuff. And by the way, I will never claim we do this the best, right? The reason we're doing this is we're getting better at it, and we want to share this information with you. But I know we do something really well is we carry our culture, especially that we are very, we provide full support and attention. And we do this through our onboarding process. And we crafted it very well to provide self-onboarding through our videos, academy. We share tons of resources. If somebody wants to get their hands on it, we give them live chat support, AI-powered support. So we spend so much time in providing those to the client that it's one of our core values. And that was experienced after the initial story. It is experienced through the product. It's also experienced through our email drips, because we send them email drip over the course of the entire month, okay? And we rely on email, SMS, and web push. Web push is a little bit limited, but yes, we do use it, as well as retargeting. And we keep on talking about solutions to some of the problems. Okay, so now you need to do email marketing. Why you need to do it in a specific way to solve a problem? Why use landing pages and some of the best ways to take a very basic form into a highly converting page? Anyways, also with marketing automation, and this is a snapshot from Vibout, you can personalize the experience to include people's names and preferences, information about them within the content itself, which takes your storytelling to a little bit higher level. So obviously automating effectively by doing better segmentation, because once you capture the lead, once they consume your initial story, you're branching services from there. As I mentioned, could have more stories to tell. But once you have the details, you can segment better. You can always obviously begin by welcoming people, be it to your service if you're a SaaS product. or your service itself if you're providing marketing services, digital services. User-generated content is very, very important, which can be plugged into your email, your SMS messages, what others are saying about you. I highly encourage you to do that. Even if sometimes all it takes is one person to be interested in this content. One person. The rest might not be interested. And don't let this be the benchmark of you removing certain snippets from your emails and your copy. And obviously, you want to drive people to high quality content that's beneficial to them, not to you. Not everything should be driving people to demos, but drive people to consume content that's good enough for them to trust you to get to the demo pages. Okay. And when it comes to social media, I talked about this a little bit, but you can publish through all these channels easily nowadays. And obviously with VBOUT, now you can have one video that you can record on your phone using InShot, okay? And then you can upload this to VBOUT and schedule it to go out to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, well, maybe Pinterest videos on YouTube, through YouTube, TikTok, groups, shorts. It's easier to publish. It's still a little bit of work, right? But you can do it. You need to put the effort, and the effort is less. You can also break down like your general content into smaller pieces, like I showed you, taking this 1 hour long session, breaking it down into 1 minute videos. And then I literally have about 30 pieces of content that I can publish, 30 out of this long form event. Obviously, it needs to be properly cut and edited, but you can hire somebody to do it if you want. And that's content that you developed yourself. The editing part of it shouldn't be too costly, because the costly part is doing the event and developing the content itself. And there are lots of details out there. They could optimize descriptions and SEO and searchability for your content on those channels. And sometimes you post a piece of content, it gets you 1,500 views within 24 hours, where otherwise you didn't have those views, which drives some signups to your channel, and eventually you can accumulate some followers. And I say it's not about the quantity necessarily. And the majority of what we do is the quality. You can have 5 followers a month. That's all you need if they're good followers. Better than 0. And using hashtags, of course, within your posting can help to drive visibility to your stories. And with that, I think this is all what we covered today. To kind of recap overall, why storytelling is important for your brand, and for your marketing, of course, to be specific. The main elements that you can use in your storytelling, we covered those as well. How you can use certain frameworks like the hero framework to develop your story and your plot, and how you can use social media to deliver those messages and to deliver your story to your audience. So we'll send you the presentation, the recording, and I'll leave the floor open now for any questions if anyone has.
Richard, Ryan said testimonials are extremely powerful to help reverse engineer your marketing to address specific pains or problems in the marketplace.
Yes, absolutely. And people want to trust your brand. What's a better way to trust your brand than to have someone else be happy and leaving feedback about what you do, right? I know some of these could be staged. Companies can fake them. They could hire people to do it. But ultimately, if you have so many of them and people jump to the next phase of trying the product, at least you moved over that hurdle. So yes, I agree with Ryan. All right, so we have.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Thank you also, Jimmy, for participating in the exercise here. George, any questions on Facebook?
No, Richard, everything is fine.
Sweet. Well, I really want to thank everybody who joined us today. I know many of you have joined us from the US, but we also have people who joined from Africa, from Australia, and the other side of the world, from East Asia, Far East. I would really want to thank you for putting the time, the effort. It shows your obviously dedication to learn something new. Storytelling is really, really important. I think we should learn and master storytelling in every aspect of our life. And I focus on the marketing, but what I covered can also apply in real life for other things. I hope you've gotten some takeaways to develop your next brand story. I would really love to hear from you on social media, on our group. What is your brand story? Have you improved it? And we can give you some feedback on it. If you are interested in a product to replace your current marketing stack, your marketing challenges, particularly in generating leads and capturing those awesome visitors, turning them into interest, and delivering your brand message through easy platform, I would love to talk to you. I'll leave a link in the demo to the demo page right in the chat. George, please drop in a link there, and our success managers will identify if we're a good fit. As you guys have seen, we are committed to providing the best product, the best teachings and education, and the best relationship through our support in the community. And again, really thankful to you for attending. We will be doing our monthly VBOUT, a product release meeting. When is it, George? In 2 weeks? 2 weeks almost?
Yes, exactly. It will be
Nice.
on the 27th of this month.
27, we'll tell you exactly what we launched. We have some cool things launching. Other than that, thanks again, and have a great rest of the month until I see you next time. Thank you so much. George, thank you for your help.
You're welcome, Richard. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining.